Hi everybody, it's Cindy the Scrapologist. Welcome to another junk journal tutorial. I realized the other day I haven't done any decorating with you all in quite a while. And so I'm going to have over the next couple of days a few videos coming out where we're going to do a signature together. So this is the one we're going to do today. And I tried to put a whole variety of styles in both of these signatures. I'm going to do this one probably tomorrow. So we've got book pages, we have digitals, we have embossed paper, we have some sewing and some painting and texture paste, embossing, fabric, stamping, just a whole variety of techniques that you can use in making a signature. So let's get started. We'll make this together. So the first thing I wanted to point out about this is that I am sizing this one to go in this little book that's going to have a soft back and a hard cover front. It's going to go in like this along with a couple of other signatures. Isn't that beautiful? So this is about the book is going to be about, let's see, 7¼ by 5½. A little bit of a smaller book, but I love this size because it just fits in your hand so nicely. The one I'm going to do in the next video is more of the standard size where you can use 8½ by 11 paper. So I'm going to give you the sizes for the smaller one today, and tomorrow I'm going to give you the sizes for the regular size one using 8½ by 11 paper. But you can cut these to however you want, but if you want to make this size, I will give you the measurements. One thing that I love in my signatures is having, when you first look at it, you see all the layers instead of making everything uniform like a book, which that's nice too. Sometimes I do that, but for the most part, I like layers. So you'll see different widths. You see that I have this, and this kind of sticks out as well as some other things. And I have different heights. And to me, that just really gives it a lot of interest. So some of the things you're going to want if you want to design one like this is a book page. And then you can use another book page or scrapbook paper. This happens to be a digital misprint from my arsenic wallpaper kit. I use my misprints. And I have some handmade paper here, but you can use anything. A tag, a sewing machine if you want to sew. This is just cardstock, more of a thicker cardstock, some acrylic paint, a stamp. I know I'm going kind of fast, but you can pause before we build each page. This is texture paste, but you can use stamps and embossing powder. This is an embossed tea-stained piece of paper, some scraps of fabric and ledger paper, sheet music, some vintage just things that you can stick in the pockets. This is a meat packer's paper that comes in rolls. I'll try to link to that below. I have piano roll paper in here and graph paper, and I used some punches. So that's what we're going to use those supplies. I'm trying to use a little bit of everything that I can think of so that you can use whatever you have in your stash. So let's just take this layer by layer. The first thing that I like to put on the outside, I like an undercut page on the top. So I just have an old book page that I'm going to use, and I like the crinkliness of that right there. And we're just going to fold everything in half very gently, not completely crease it down. And the reason for that is that I like to put my signatures through the sewing machine before I sew them into my books. That's just a little trick. It makes it so much more secure, and yeah, your pages aren't going to get all wonky when you're trying to sew them through. Especially if you're a beginner, this is really going to help you with your sewing. It's not necessary, but I really like how secure this makes your pages, so over time they don't start pulling through the threads that we're going to poke through here. So we're just going to crease everything very gently. This is an old book page that is not going to last very well, so one thing that I do like to do with the older book pages, and another reason why I need the crease here, is because I'm going to put some masking tape on that just to help secure it a little bit. And I also love, this is older masking tape, and it never pulls off properly. So it's just going to help secure it with when it's going through all of the sewing and whatnot. And it looks nice. I like the way masking tape looks. So we don't need it on both sides, but you know what? We can just flip it around. Won't hurt to do that. And see, it's already ripping here, so I will make sure that I cover that tear. And masking tape is fun. You can take your ink blender here and kind of blend it up if you want it to look a little older and grungier. Okay, and then refold it again, but not with a heavy crease. Because also too, if you do a heavy crease and ruin your paper, crease your paper when you go through the sewing machine and it doesn't get right in there, you're going to end up with a fold over here maybe. So it just helps if you're not a perfect sewer like I am not. Okay, so there's our first page. We're just going to set it right here, and we're going to keep stacking as we build. So our second page, for this, I used a misprint from my digital kits. This is another misprint. I think it just was it printed kind of blurry. The other thing I forgot to mention in the beginning is that for the projects that I'm doing today and tomorrow, they are all pretty much neutral colors with a pop of one or two colors. So for this particular one, I was kind of going with blue tones and a little bit of pink. So for the most part, it's monochromatic, but I have some pops of colors that go well together. Again, you don't have to do that, but I just wanted to point that out. So the second sheet here, as I think I said earlier, is just a digital kit that I printed incorrectly. And so that's what I'm going to use for my second signature. But you can use scrapbook paper. You can use any paper you want for this. If you are making the same size as me, you want to cut your paper down to 7 inches high by 8 inches across. And this is a real pretty one. I think I'll probably go with kind of greens in my second signature. So it's 7 by 8. And we're going to lightly crease that. And then what I have on here on the front is I have, this is actually something that I've been playing with a lot and I'm probably going to do a video on. It is paintable wallpaper. I'm going to show you some ways to use this. It is unbelievable the way it holds all sorts of mixed media products. I'm in love with this. So that's what I have here, but you can certainly just take a piece of white paper and run it through your embossing machine if you have one, or just use a piece of pretty paper that's going to contrast what you have on here. So if you want to do the same, I'm just going to even give you the measurement for that. This is 4 inches by 1.5 inches. I have a piece right here, and that is going to look beautiful on this green. I like the way that looks. And I'm just going to run it through my sewing machine, and I'm just doing a straight stitch right down and making sure that I double stitch. I don't know the proper sewing term. I'm not a sewer. At the top and the bottom. Backstitch, I think. Let me know in the comments below what you call this. I think backstitch. I'm just going to run it through the sewing machine really quickly. And there we go. I used brown thread just because I was lazy, and that was what was in my sewing machine. I pretty much just use brown and cream for the most part because I already have lots of bobbins that are filled with the brown and cream, and I don't want to deal with that when I'm trying to mass make something. So I always have those at the ready. And I think I'm going to take this fern green archival ink and just go over very lightly over this wallpaper, and look at how gorgeous that is. I just love paintable wallpaper. It's my new thing. So that's what it looks on the inside. Okay. And just a note, if you're new to my channel, I have this thing about organization. And so I might give you some organizing tips as we go along too, because we're going to use a whole bunch of stuff today, and I don't want my desk ending up, I don't want to spend hours cleaning it up afterwards. So to prepare for today, I kind of knew what I was going to use, so I have my ink pads in a pile over here, and every time I use it, it's going back in that pile. I have my stamps are over on the side in one pile, and that way when it's time to clean up, I just grab the different categories and put them away as soon as I'm done with the project. So that might be helpful to you, because it's discouraging to come into a craft room, you want to create something, and you can't even see your desk. So that just drives me nuts. I can't work like that. So I am organized as we go through. So anyway, that's just me. So let's put that in our pile here, and let me see what I did to the back of that. Just left it. Okay, so we're not going to decorate that anymore. The next thing I did was a book page with a little side pocket and a tag. And I'm going to sew onto this one, so this book page needs to be a little more durable than the one that I used at the beginning of this. So grab a book page, grab some kind of pretty paper that you can affix to it for a pocket, and then grab yourself a tag if you have some already made. I'm going to do that right now. Okay, hopefully you paused your video and went and got your stuff. So I have a book page, I have some more of that handmade paper, and I have a tag that has a little bit of green in it, since green is my pop of color. The book page we need to cut down to 6 inches high by 9 inches. Okay, so I'm going to turn it this way, and for this I'm just going to tear using my mat as a ruler. So it's going to be 9 inches. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Line this up on my mat and just tear. 9. And then we want it, let's see, yes, and I want this frayed edge, so I'm going to go this way and go 6 inches this way. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And of course, save these. They're going in another organized pile I have over here. I know. For all my scraps, so that I can use those for making collaging and stuff like this later on. So again, we're going to just lightly crease that. And I probably should have cut this better so that I didn't have all this space here, but that's okay. And then I have my piece of pretty paper here. and I'm going to cut this down to 4.5 by 2 inches. I think it's already 2 inches. Yep. And 4.5. I don't know if I can tear this paper. 1, 2, 3, 4.5. Let's see. Yeah, good. Oh, I like that. And it gave it a nice frayed edge. Okay, so I'm going to open this up. I want that frayed edge at the top. Maybe I want, yeah, I think I'd like my page better this way. Okay, I'm going to put that here. And I like to, although it's very bad for your sewing machine, sometimes when I'm sewing, I like to put just a dab of glue stick on there to help hold it in place. And position it where you want it. And then I'm going to take it to the sewing machine and I'm going to sew down here and across the bottom. So this is what our page looks like at this point. And I'm going to put my tag in, but I want to get a little string to put through here. I buy these, actually my husband buys these for his shop in bulk, and I always steal a pack every time he buys them. He restores vintage electronics and mostly audio equipment. These are tangled. And he has to tag each item with the customer's information. And I steal them from him. So this is probably going to be too long. I'll end up trimming it. This I will not save. I'll throw that out. I'm not that bad, you guys. Okay, and then I do want to ink this up a little bit, and I might decorate the back at some point too. Just using my old standby, Tim Holtz vintage photo. You know, when you find something that you really like, that you seem to be going to quite a bit, just leave it on your desk. This just stays right here on my desk with my dauber right on top, and it's over in the corner. So I don't have to look for it every time. So we'll put that in here, and I'm pleased with the way that looks. And when you open it up, you've got a little bit of sewing there, which adds some interest. And let's see, I think I just left the other side blank. Yep. I was looking in my other one. So let's put that on our pile. And so we're making good progress. Okay. The next thing we're going to make, this is fun because we're going to be doing some finger painting. So for this I used cardstock, a piece of thicker cardstock like you would use for card making. And you want to get a sheet of that. And I think I'm going to be, for this second book, I'm going to be using this. This is just cardstock that is designed to sort of look like parchment. And if I'm not going to go through and list where I got every single item, but if there's something that you want to know where I got it, I will try to research that and send you a message. So just message me below if there's something that you're interested in having me research further, because a lot of this, I don't know where I got it. I'd have to kind of look it up, and I'm happy to do that if you're interested. So anyway, we need this piece here to be 8.5 by 5 3/4. So it's already 8.5 this way. So I'll do 5 3/4 this way. This is the only thing I don't like about this paper trimmer is from 5.5 right here to 6. there's no ruler. So I just go in this, assume the center is 5 3/4, but yeah, it's a little annoying. Save this. Excuse me. Okay. And I'm going to use a punch across the top. If you have an edge punch, that works really well. And this one is Martha Stewart. I don't know the name. Excuse me, I better drink some tea here. So the reason I'm coughing is because last night my husband was snoring so bad I had to go into the guest bedroom and man, it was dusty. We have a whole section of this 200-year-old house that has no heat and no electricity, and that's kind of where we put the spare bedroom furniture. So I was in there last night, blissfully sleeping, and it's just so dusty that now I have a tickle today. How many of you guys have snoring husbands, and what is your solution? Tell me, please. Because, man, I'm telling you, if somebody could invent something that would get rid of snoring, every woman in the world would be buying it, right? I know I'd be forced in line. I'd stay outside the store all day long just to be in line to get that puppy. Okay. So we did that. And the next thing I want to do is go down the side with some texture paste. I'm going to do this part here, which hopefully you can see that it's kind of raised. Now, you do not need to go out and buy all of this stuff. I am just trying to use everything in my arsenal so that you see a wide variety of what you can do in your pages. So don't go out and buy everything. Use what you have on hand. So I'm going to put this, figure out how I want this. I wonder if I want it this way. Yeah, I like that. Okay, and this is what I'm using. Liquitex modeling paste, gel medium. So this is going to, if I can get it open, this is going to last me forever and a day. And I have my little plastic spatula here. And I'm just going to scoop some up. And you do want to make sure that your template doesn't move. And I believe that my mother gave this template. I can't think of the crafting term for this. I'm just not with it today. I didn't get enough sleep. But she gave this to me, I think, and I think that she got it at the dollar store. So again, we don't need to spend a lot of money to do this. So I'm just going to scrape it off and neaten it up, because otherwise sometimes you pull it up and you end up with a big blob. So there we go. I'm happy with the way that turned out. I'm going to go wash this and I'll be right back because I'm an organization freak. I'll be right back. So now, because I want to just keep working on this and I don't want to wait, I'm going to just dry this really quickly with my heat gun. You can let it dry overnight. And the heat gun kind of bubbles it up even more, so I really like that. That's pretty dry. Pretty dry. Okay, and I am going to be putting something over that. I'm going to let it cool down and dry off a little more, but this texture paste, you can put ink on it, paint on it. You can do whatever you want once it's dry. It's really fun to work with. So the next thing I want to do is just do some finger painting. This part is really super fun. And I just have a couple of colors of acrylic paints that I got very cheaply at Walmart. It's just acrylic paint. This one is antique white and this one is warm buff. I don't have a lot of colors. I just pretty much use these a lot. I think I have a blue and a green, but again, just use what you have on hand. You can use anything. And I am just going to go through and get my paper towel here and do some finger painting. I don't know how well this is going to show up on this. We'll see. And I just smear it on. This isn't going to show up all that great, but once we get the darker color on, it will be fine. Just randomly. Not going to put too much of that on because it's really not showing up really well. You can maybe see it there. And let's do some of this warm buff. Who doesn't like finger painting, right? Maybe put a little bit across there. Do the edges a little bit. I think that looks nice. This is just very random. Just collaging with my fingers. Okay, that's really all I want to do. I don't want to overdo it. Put my paints right back where they belong. Okay. And let me dry this off a little bit because next I want to stamp on top of it. I have this very, very old stamp that looks like something, but it looks like words and sentences, but it really isn't. It's just a bunch of gobbledygook, but I like it. A script stamp, I guess you'd call that. And if you don't have a lot of stamps in your arsenal, I would say that a script stamp, I have two, and I just ordered a third one because these are just getting so trashed. They're starting to break and stuff. I pulled them off of, well, this one I pulled off of its wooden block. I wish I'd never done that. I should have kept all of these on their wooden blocks, but oh well. But I have two of them that I use for just a ton of projects. So I would say if you don't have a lot of stamps, this might be a go-to if you're looking to buy one to have on hand. And so let's just get the Tim Holtz vintage photo and just stamp randomly. Don't forget to stamp and go off the edge too. Don't all just go in the middle here if you want it to look really, really interesting. Go off the edge a little bit. That's always fun. And a little bit there and a little bit there. Okay, I don't want to overdo it. And put that away. And then I want this to be just a little pop of some color. I have this Versamark. I want to buy more of these. This chalk ink pad. I love chalk ink. And the last one I have left, I bought this in the 80s when I was doing card making. But I just love the way it smears on stuff. You can just, I'll do a little bit on the back here. You can just do this with it. Unlike your traditional, you probably can't see it, but unlike your traditional ink pad where it's just really going to blotch on there. So I'm going to rub it over. Hopefully you'll be able to see it now. Rub it over that texture paste. Yeah. Pretty. See? Love it. And I checked yesterday, and VersaMagic does still have chalking pads, so I'm going to be picking up a couple just to have them on hand as part of my essential like junk journal basics kit. Okay, so we're done with this side. I'm happy with the way it turned out. And I think on the inside, I'm just going to do, I should have done more finger painting, but I think I'm just going to do some more of this just to give it some dimension. Whoops. Okay. And again, you probably can't see that. It's very subtle. And then what did I do on the back on this other one? Let me look. Oh, I did more paint and stamping. More paint and stamping. So let's do that on the back. Do I dare do a bit of mossy green? With the warm buff? I hope that's not going to be too much. Too dark. Maybe if I just put a little bit on and like do the edges. A little bit on the edges. Oops, I don't want it. I don't want my fingerprints to show there. If I get too much, I just blob it between my, I just rub it between my two fingers. Okay. There, just throw a little bit on the inside. And I have some blobs there. I think that's good enough. And do some stamping again. Good enough. Okay. So that's our fourth page. Front and back. And we're going to set it right in there. Next, we're going to use a piece of tea or coffee stained paper, run it through the embossing machine, and make a pocket by putting it through the sewing machine. So grab a piece of coffee stained paper. And if you're new to junk journaling and you don't know how to coffee or tea stain paper, I would suggest that you take a look at my video because it's 2 steps. It's so much easier than so many of the videos that you see out there where they're baking it in the oven and things like that, which is okay because it comes out beautiful, but I don't have the patience for that, and I love the way my paper turns out with all the with the different markings. Like some of it is not stained totally, and I love the way it turns out. But just take a piece of regular 8.5 by 11 coffee or tea stain paper, fold it in half, and if you have, let me get this out of the way, if you have an embossing machine with an embossing folder, just figure out kind of where you want it. I'm going to put this through twice, once here and once here to get the whole bottom part embossed. And then looks like I need some right. No, that's not going to work. It's too wide. That's okay. All right, I've got some embossing on there, and I think it'll look nice like that. Okay, that's all I'm going to be able to do. I'd like to get one of those ones that has the really super wide platform, but mine only accommodates like 8.5. I mean, half of a sheet of paper wide. Now, open it up. going to be stuck together if you embossed it. And we're going to fold up to make a pocket. Now, I don't know if I want it to look like that or to have the pocket be embossed. Yeah, I think I like it the other way. So I'm going to fold up and I'm going to measure, just take out my pile here and just use my pile to measure where I want that pocket. We don't have to be precise about everything, right? And I'm just going to fold it. Yeah. Just going to fold it. And then I'm going to take it to my sewing machine and I'm going to sew up each side just to affix that pocket down. And easy peasy. I decided to do zigzag on this one. Let me trim some of these threads. So when you close it, you've got the nice embossing and the stitching on the front and back, and you have a nice pocket here. So that's going on to the pile next. And it's starting to look pretty. So the next one that we're doing is going to be this page. And for that, I just use graph paper. You can use any kind of paper you want, but I like to put a little bit of graph paper and a little bit of regular lined paper, and I love this stuff. So that's what I'm using, and I just kind of tear these off so that they're falling off anyway. And this is a really undercut page, a really much smaller page. We are going to cut this down, let's see, 8 by 5 1/4. So it's going to be 8 this way because I want to save this. 8. Oh, it's already 8 inches. I guess this doesn't come in 8.5 by 11. Okay, and then 5 inches this way. And now I have 2 sheets. I have another sheet that I can save for later. For this one, you will, so we're going to fold it in half this way. At least that's how I'm folding mine. You do yours however you want. Okay, I creased that a little too much, but that's okay. All right, and then we just need a scrap of fabric, which I have some right here. And this is actually a little too long, but I'll probably wrap it around like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and open this up, cut some of these strings off. This is antique fabric that I really had a hard time cutting up. Oh, it's so pretty, but you know, I just had to kind of get over it and start using some of this stuff. I have so much. I have, well, in my shop, I have several packs of 200-year-old fabric. And, oops, I'm getting my, they are beautiful, beautiful quilting squares that are at least 200 years old. I have a whole bunch of these in my shop. Right now the indigo blue ones are in there, and I'm putting together more of a neutrals kit like this, but I can't bring myself to cut them. But I hope those of you who have bought the fabric that you're having fun with it and you're able to use it. And eventually I will start cutting into it, I guess. I don't know. I have some paper packs that have been in my studio here probably for 15 years. I don't know. It's hard sometimes when you know, especially when it's like vintage fabric, antique fabric like that, and you know it's never going to be made again like that. It's just hard. It feels like you're cutting into history. And like I said, this was just so pretty. So I forgot to mention, because I'm rambling on here, I'm using Fabri-Tac. I like to use that whenever I'm fixing fabric to a paper, because a lot of glue is actually going to seep through the fabric and you're going to see it. And Fabri-Tac does a pretty good job of not soaking through. It doesn't always work, but in this case it did. Fold that back in half. And then I just want a scrap for the bottom. I'm going to use a scrap of this vintage ledger that I have. And I really love the numbers down the side. I'm just going to, I'm going to ruler tear it, I guess. Okay. And I'll probably use my Fabri-Tac for that too, because I don't know how well the glue stick would work adhering this to fabric. I'm trying to help you use up a lot of scraps today too. Hopefully you feel that that's getting done, that you're using some of your scraps, because you certainly could make a whole bunch of these and just have them ready, right? Don't have to make just one. And I'm going to ink this up just a little. The graph paper is a little too white for me. Okay. And then on the inside, and on the back, I just did more of the painting with the finger painting. So you can do that, but I think first I want to use this chalk ink pad, because that'll show up really nicely on this. Although it is, I say really nicely, but it is starting to be dry. Yeah, this is definitely running out. Boo-hoo! I've had this for so long. It's been really good. Okay. So I'm just going to kind of leave mine like that, I think, but certainly if you want to do like this one and you want to go through and do some more of the painting, go for it. Go ahead and do that. Whatever makes you happy. I am going to put some of this, oops, I didn't mean to do a square on there. I need some of those round blending things. Let's just put a little bit more brown on here. Okay. All right. So that is going on our pile right there. Next, I have a sheet of music paper. This is, I don't even want to say, this is my book from when I was a kid. I got this when I was probably 6 years old. Yes, I was actually playing this stuff at 6 years old. I was weird. But I hope I'm not as patinaed as this music paper is. Oh my gosh, I feel old when I look at this. But what I'm going to do is, oh, let me see how I want to do this. I'm going to get 2 pieces of this. Okay, so now I have 2 pieces. And I think I'll put them like this so that I have ruffled edges on each side. I'm going to cut this down to 8.5 by 9. So it's going to be 8.5 this way. Let's see. Oh, that's pretty much what it is. All right, we'll leave it. By 9. And I'll probably just cut off the top. Put this in my scrap pile. That's perfect for collaging. But let me show you what we're making. We're making this. It's a sewn pocket, and there's going to be a pocket on each side. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is bring my stack down here, and I'm just going to figure out how I'm going to fold this. Okay, measure it, and it's going to be right about there. So I'm folding up both sheets, and now I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and just sew up each side and the top like this, because we have two sheets here. Just for strength, you don't have to do two sheets, but this is very fragile because it's as old as I am. And so I decided to fortify it, but up each side and across the top. And here it is. It just looks just like that. And I'm going to put a little crease in it. It's much stronger now that I sewed two pieces together. And I do want to put, I'm not going to use masking tape this time. I want to put some washi tape up the center, because I have some washi tape that, I think this is Tim Holtz, and it has some music notes on here and stuff. As I said earlier, washi tape just really doesn't hold up, especially in the crease here. So I am going to put some glue stick down too, just to make sure that that washi tape stays where it needs to stay. Okay. And I'll just flip that around to the other side. There we go. Now most of this is going to be hidden by the sewing anyway, so, but a little bit of it's going to peek through. All right, and let's grab this and see how it looks. Perfect, I love it. And then let's just find something to go in the pocket. So I have this, let's see, this one, what am I doing? Greens? Yeah. So I have this little tiny vintage book, Wildflowers of America. I love this book. I want to try to find another one. And I like to pull these out and put them in my pockets because they look so pretty. So this one has some green on it. You know what? I may need some washi tape at the top edge of this paper too, because that's tearing just a little bit. But I'll put that in there. And then for the other side, I think I'll put one of my pocket pages. This is one that I didn't sew very well, so I didn't put it in my shop. Oh, there's two of them. But you know, I think it kind of still would look pretty in a pocket. And the fun thing about this too, let's see if I can find something. Well, I'll use my scissors. So this has two pockets in it, a pocket here and a pocket there. So later on I'll stick some things in there, so we'll have, oh, it's not going to fit. I wonder if it's going to fit if I chop that off. Let's see. Nope. Well, yes it did. Okay, so later on I'll find something to put, oh sorry, in this pocket and that pocket. Okay, we are looking good so far. Looking good, as they say. Boy, this is really sticking out. That's okay. Love it. Okay, so our next page is going to be, we're either going to stamp or use texture paste on the butcher's paper. So let me get that out and show it to you. I buy this in rolls. So the butcher paper is going to be cut at 7 by 10, and I'm just going to ruler tear it. Okay, save that for collage. Here's our 7 by 10 piece. Fold this in half. Okay, and then we are going to, so for this I'm going to use a stamp and some embossing powder because we haven't done that yet. So let me find a stamp. I think I'll use this one again because I really like it. And I have my stamp pad, my ink, my stamp pad that's just clear. Where's my acrylic block? It's under this pile here. Here we go. Just, oops, I hope I didn't just move that. Let's see. Nope, looks good. And my white embossing powder here. This is just plain white. I don't even know that this company is still in existence. This is from the 1980s. Look, $3.99. Yeah, this is old, but it's still working. I loved making cards in the 1980s. That was my first paper craft. My girlfriend and I would sit for hours and make card after card and share each other's stamps and powders, and Mom would join in too sometimes. It was just a really fun girlfriends weekend that we'd do every once in a while. I hope people still do that, get together and have crafting weekends. Just put out some food, some snacks, kind of buffet, and of course got to have a little bit of wine. It was just always really enjoyable. Okay, that goes back where it belongs. Are you getting tired of hearing me and my organization? Here's my heat gun. Let's heat this up. There we go. I love it. Of course, you can do any color you want. I probably maybe should have done greens since that's what I'm sort of is my focus color, but I'm happy with the white too. Did I do anything else? Nope, that's all I did with this. So let's go ahead and put this in our signature. We're almost done. We've used a whole bunch of different techniques and almost have one whole beautiful signature done. Okay, and then actually our last little thing is going to be this little booklet here. So for this I just used plain writing paper. Let's get some of that out. And this is going to get cut down to 8 by 4. And then we just need some scraps. So for this one, I've got ledger paper on the bottom, and then on top of it I have a sentiment. Here, let me hold it up better. And this is just a piece of piano roll paper, but you can use some of this paper too if you don't have piano roll paper. This is just a piece of wallpaper, but that could be scrapbook paper. And then I used a black stamp. So let's do this one first, and I'll just keep this here so you can look at it. And I'm just going to ruler tear it. Actually, I'll glue stick it and then tear it. So last winter, I was so tired of crafting by myself that I offered a class called the Easy Pace class, and everybody got a supply list. And once a week, I think I did it on Thursday or Friday nights. We got together on Zoom for 2 hours, and I taught the class on Zoom. And we had so much fun. I made so many nice friends in that class. So many nice friends. Jan, hi if you're watching. Teresa, just so many people. And it was just fun to get together and craft, and people could ask questions anytime they wanted to, and we got to share. People could hold up their, at the end of the class, people would hold their projects up so we could see what everybody did, and it was just so much fun. And I might do it again this winter if there's enough interest. But now I've kind of moved to Patreon, so I don't know. I just don't know. I've offered live classes before, and people don't seem to be interested in the Zoom classes as much as I thought they would. Most people, I think people are just busy, and it's hard to stay on a schedule. So most people just want to get the recording afterwards. So that was fine. But those ladies that did show up, they had a blast. I had a blast. And gosh, it was just a lot of fun. I hope we can do it again. Especially here in Maine, we have such long winters. Really, really long winters. Well, I can't find any piano roll paper. How about some sewing pattern paper? That will be fun. Okay. I like that. Tear a little bit more off. Okay. Put that in my back of my little plastic bag. This can just go on with glue stick. I do have a Patreon now, so the highest level is a subscription box. And every once in a while, we are going to get together and do something live. So I'll still get to craft with some of you on occasion. Okay, that's just a little scrap of wallpaper I already had sitting here, so I'll put that on. Okay, and then what I want to do next is I want a word sentiment here, and I want a stamp in black. The black it really pops when you have other colors. I like adding a pop of black here. So I've shown this many times before, but how I get my word sentiments is I pull them out of books. That's in the wrong pile. But here's an old one called Prose and Poetry. I love to buy old poetry books, and then you have a ton of things to just tear out and put onto your projects. Here's another one that's Autoline a Type. It's called Old Poems. And sometimes I just sit in front of the TV and I just cut them out so I can and I put them in this basket. It's a fun TV craft. Days of Opportunity. I think I'll use that one. So I have a whole basket full ready to use. All organized, of course. So I'll just put that on here, tear it up a little bit. Oh, I like that better. Reward of Faith. I use that. Okay. And then I'm going to get my black stamp pad, and I have a little kind of number stamp, and I think I'm going to put that right here for my little pop of black. And there we go. There's the front of that. And then on the inside, I just left it plain so that there's some journaling spots there. And on the back, I just put a piece of book. I have a stack of book pages here that I stamped. I love this stamp. Stamped it across the bottom. I did some other stamping on the sides and just colored it in with colored pencils. That didn't turn out so well. So on this one, I used one that I had actually colored in with colored pencils, so I'll probably go back in and color this one later on too, but I won't do it on camera. So I'm going to use a piece of that. Yeah, ruler cut this. Ruler tear, I should say, right? Okay, so that's what that looks like, and now we have a little tiny journaling book. I'm happy with that. I might ink this up just a little bit. Okay. Those are all of our signatures, guys, and the next step you can skip if you want. What I like to do with these is I like to run my signatures through the sewing machine before I sew them into a book. And the reason I like to do that is because it just really holds everything together when you're trying to punch your holes for your signatures. And it just makes your book more durable because you're going to be flipping the pages, or whoever you give it to, you're going to be flipping these pages a lot. And those strings, those threads that come up through, let me see if I can find one. Let's see. Yeah. So if you're just doing this, over time, because this is not traditional bookbinding, over time these holes are going to degrade and your papers are going to start to slip around. So that's why I really like to sew them together with the sewing machine first. And then, excuse me, and then sew my signatures into my book. So let me, oops, that fell out. Let me get all of these signatures in order. It's okay to crease them a little more at this time. And let's put these together so that the crease, the center, is in the right spot. And I have them centered up and down where I want them. Just make sure all my spines are nice and snug. I'll put this back in when I'm done. And then I'm just going to get out my little clips that I got at the dollar store. Find my center. Open it up carefully and clip it together as much as I can, because there's a lot of different layers here. And take it and kind of push it and make sure that everything is lined up correctly here, because sometimes when you open it, things slide over a little bit. So I'm happy with the way this is right here. I'm going to take this to my sewing machine and just sew up the middle, and I'll be right back. So here we go. I sewed up the middle, and I did use a cream colored thread for this. I prefer a lighter color because that way if I mess up on the sewing and I'm not completely right in the crease, you can't even tell. If I used a dark color, it would be a little more noticeable. But now I can fold this up. Oops, and this, that ended up being very crooked, but I kind of like that. Yeah, I forgot about this one. I like that. That would be fun to actually, ooh. I'm going to do that. I'm just going to secure the bottom of this down, and we could stick something in there. Sometimes mistakes are fun. Oh, that's awesome. I'm happy with that. Nice little mistake there. What does the back look like? Yeah, looks fine. You can see the that's the only problem, though. I missed the the masking tape. But that's okay. I love this. So we've got this, this. Now I need to put something else in that pocket. Put that in there for now. This is super fun, and it's crinkly and aged and luscious. We use so many different techniques in this. There we go. Very, very fun. Very fun. So that's going to go in here. Oops, I'm going to eventually sew that in here. And that's going to be awesome, but I need another signature. So tomorrow, or as soon as I can get to it, I'm hoping tomorrow, I'm going to show you a bunch of other techniques, and we'll do another signature. So if you hit the subscribe bell that's in the bottom, on the bottom right hand side of this video, then you'll be notified when I post this second one. So I really hope that you had fun making that signature. I'll do another one very soon, and this one's going to be a little bit taller, I think. And I'll see you in the next video. Happy crafting! Bye!